Hello,
Unfortunately, I have
everyone.
to step out of the call to be able to share my screen, I think.
Yeah, uh, it's okay. We'll get you.
Oh, has
Uh,
my screen come through?
yeah, it came through. So thank you.
Okay.
So really quick. First of all, thank you all for joining us this Saturday. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. We are excited about this Tech Talk. We have a special guest today, Adora Nwodo. We do apologize for starting with the delay here. As you all know, with technology, there's always something, and working out across continent is never easy to make sure that you have the connection, that you make sure that you have the feed. But our guest has managed to to be able to share the material that she has for us today. So, just as a background, AI is reshaping software development, it's reshaping engineering, it's reshaping how we live, and it's harness really, uh, it's really harnessing the powers of technology, right? And to be able to do it strategically means, that you can actually, whether it's your organization, whether it's for a small business, you can really take advantage of what AI brings. So while you have many people that focusing on using AI to replace human work, the real opportunity lies in amplifying, right? In amplification of the workforce, right? Using AI to enhance creativity, to tackle really complex challenges. The conversation with Adora comes with at a pivotal moment when organizations are moving beyond just the basic adoptions of, POC and so on. Um, with her unique combinations and hands-on experience, at Microsoft, her leadership with the Nexus skills and her current interactive intelligence studies, which I hope we're gonna hear a little bit more about it with Adora. She offers a really both a technical depth, but also a practical wisdom of how to actually go about implementing and using AI. So this discussion is going to be interesting. We're looking forward to it. Welcome, Adora.
Hi. Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here. Um, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining this from. Today is about me talking about how you can use AI to improve your productivity. And based on what Yannick said, I will get into the presentation. Now, but before I do, I would want to quickly introduce myself. I am Adora, and I am currently um, an engineering manager and an author of 7 software engineering books, cloud engineering books. I also am a social entrepreneur. I have a social enterprise called Nexus Skill, which is helping people start and scale their careers by connecting them to simulated work experience opportunities like hackathons, simulated work apprenticeship boot camps, and different kinds of things that help them build until they find their own job and things that contribute to their portfolios as they look for jobs. We have a thriving community of over 11,000 people and more to come as well. Someone called me an ecosystem advocate a while ago. I liked the name and I have decided to keep it. Beyond that, I also have courses. I teach across like different communities, different schools. I teach online as well. I have different courses with O'Reilly and LinkedIn. So I guess you would consider me a very active technology person. A while ago, I was very worried when AI came. If I'm going to tell you that I'm not worried now, that would be a lie because I'm still very worried. However, I once thought that it would be a full-on replacement for the workforce, a full-on replacement for people. There are companies that have laid off because of AI, and most of all those companies that have laid off have gone to hire back. Maybe not in the same capacity, but there is a realization that as much as we need AI, we also need people, AI is good at complementing the workforce, not necessarily replacing it. Today, I'm using AI to be a better programmer, a more efficient manager, and to be very honest, I do a lot of things. I'm also a student as well. Don't know if I mentioned that. I'm currently in graduate school, getting a computer science master's, and I plan to start an MBA later in August. If I did not have AI as a companion or a peer, whatever, peer programmer, peer study mates, pair idea bouncer, pair rubber ducky body, it would have been a serious mess for me being able to combine all these things. For example, I wrote my first book in 1 year. I wrote the second one in about 10 months or so. And now I'm able to write 3 books in 1 year. And that's something that I wasn't able to do. Obviously, the fact that I've also written multiple books has helped me in my experience of writing get faster, but also the augmentation of these extra tools have made it a lot faster as well for me. So generally, I'm just going to talk about what we're going to be covering today. We will cover LLMs, we will cover model context protocols, which is MCP, which is sort of like the big thing now that is helping people integrate AI support into everything in life. We're going to talk about a couple productivity strategies that you can take on and a plan for you to transform yourself into an AI user, because I believe that AI isn't going to AI isn't going to directly be the reason why a lot of people are left behind because they are going to get replaced by AI. But what's going to happen is that the people that use AI and use AI ethically over time will replace the people that don't in different areas of, the world or in the industry or wherever. So it's important for you to be a user of this technology as well as a contributor whenever you get the chance. But the truth is, to contribute might take a longer time. I might take much more from you, but it's very important that you think about using and you go ahead and start to use. So I'm going to quickly talk about what, LLMs really are, right? These are pattern matching machines that kind of just got really good at predicting what comes next, right? They are trained on massive amounts of data. So books, websites, code, pulling information from websites like Reddit, Stack Overflow, Wikipedia, where many people are, they can understand context and generate human-like responses. Most of all these LLMs you've probably interacted with before at this point. I want to know who here does not have a ChatGPT account. Maybe that's a fast fetch, and that's a stretch because some people might not have one. But I want to know who here has not opened ChatGPT.com ever. If there's anyone in the physical room that hasn't opened, please share it with me. If there's anyone online that hasn't opened as well, please share it with me. I'll be intrigued to see if there's anyone that hasn't opened ChatGPT before. I'm not getting any feedback, meaning that people have
So,
opened this, which is good.
yeah, it looks
Right.
like everyone has interacted in some fashion with ChatGPT at the thing.
Okay. That's fantastic because now I can now move on to the next thing, which is the fact that beyond LLMs, there's also an extension of AI. There's more that has happened, there's more that has been done. And I'm going to talk about what the issue is first, right? We have regular AI conversations, we talk to these LLMs, but most of them behave like they have short term memory loss. Most of them hallucinate depending on, I guess, the intensity of the conversation. And sometimes they just plain hallucinate for no reason. I've seen people on social media nowadays give people prompts that can say, okay, type this prompt at the beginning of your chat before you start texting AI, and it would help the AI not hallucinate. And different people are coming from like different backgrounds and doing different things, right? To help with this problem. Those are I believe that the two big problems that AI has right now is the context problem, which is remembering things and hallucinating. I will put those two things into one, although they're different. Hallucination is just fabricating lies. But context is I have told you something, but you're not thinking about what I've told you, and then you are doing something else. That is one problem that AI really has. And then a second problem is sort of like the security problem. If we can fix both, right, AI will be unstoppable. But for now, let's just manage what it is and use it the way we are using it. And also hope that in the process of these research companies like Anthropic and OpenAI getting AI to be unstoppable, they don't overdo it in such a way that it becomes an actual threat to all of us. But the point is, there is this technology, it's here now, you should definitely use it. Going back to that, right? Every chat starts from scratch. Even if there is some memory, I know that ChatGPT has a place that allows um the AI to remember. It's not 100% accurate, and there's sometimes you always have to consistently give context about certain things. And you can create MCPs for yourself to solve this problem. MCPs can help AI remember your previous conversations because um you can also connect them to your external tools. So for example, if you are um someone that wants to connect your LLMs to your Google Drive so that it pulls information from there, right? You want to connect to your email so that it actually books a calendar meeting for you and a couple of people. You want to make it have context of your code. So you want to use things like reusable prompts in copilots so that you don't have to consistently type the prompts that you want for your code every single time and it has context. It does that for you. It can understand your specific work styles and your preferences, and it can pull data, like I said, from your actual files and your databases, right? And so this is something that you can try. You can go to Anthropic's website, which is Claude, and look into building your own MCP server. You can build that server and use that for yourself. So now I'm just going to talk about productivity superpowers, and there are a couple. The first one I would say for AI is AI helping with writing and communication. You can use AI for email automation. There's so many different kinds of prompts. And the thing about prompt design is that you have to be as specific as you can be because AI gives you, it's like garbage in, garbage out. The better your question, the better the responses that you get, right? Obviously, because this is a presentation as well, can't really give a full question and stuff like that, or a very long prompt. But I give very detailed prompts. I can literally tell AI, you are a second year student in grad school, currently working on a project for educational technology. You are passionate about people in rural Africa and want to give them the opportunity to succeed. You've been given an assignment for choosing five different options out of the 15 that you brought. I have attached the 15 options as a document. Give me a table and draw a pro and cons list for each option. Arrange each option from best to worst and tell me why you would choose it. That is a prompt, right? That way, I have given the AI context to what it is, how I want it to act. I have shown the AI the problem. I have given the AI any additional information. an attached document, maybe an attached brief, a fuller conversation. And I have also told the AI like the format in which I want the output, right? Most times, what I even like to do, because I tend to talk a lot, if I type, I would want to summarize it. It's normal. I don't know if everyone's brain works like that, but when I'm typing, I communicate in summaries. When I speak, I just blab. And so sometimes I would rather blab to AI, especially when I have to over explain and give it prompts that I want it to do a very good at executing. I would turn on my microphone and speak as opposed to writing. Obviously, when I'm done speaking and it has translated my voice to text, places where I was stuttering or places where I feel like maybe they were not relevant but came out as a result of me speaking, I would delete them. And then I would send that message to the AI, telling it everything I want in exactly the way I want it. And it does what it is supposed to do, right? So there are different ways to prompt AI. The first one here is like, email automation. Help me write a professional email to follow up on a job application I submitted 2 weeks ago for a software engineering role at X company. The tone should be enthusiastic but not desperate. This one is technical documentation. Create API documentation for this user authentication endpoint and then add the code. As you can see, there is like a delimiter here. So I've written a section that makes it clear that this section is for code. Because this section and this segmentation, when you have this kind of thing in your prompts, it helps the AI as well sort of separate it from the problem statement and know that even if this didn't come as an attachment, this is something that is also very beneficial that I should be paying attention to as I try to use the system. And then I go ahead to tell the I want you to include the purpose, request and response examples, error codes, and integration notes. Make it very beginner friendly, as opposed to just saying create documentation for me and then typing the code in the chat, right? It will do a better job now that I have given it specific things that I want it to do, right? If I want to tell AI to create a presentation, I can say create an outline for a 10-minute presentation on why every startup needs DevOps for a non-technical audience. Include compelling stories and practical examples. The target audience is business leaders that are non-technical but want to tie reliability to business gains. More information on the event is attached. And so I have given it more context. I have told it what I want, the format in which I want my response in, which is an outline, and everything else to help AI figure out what it's supposed to do for me. The second superpower is research and analysis, right? You can use to do technology research. I recently wrote a document for, like I said before, I'm currently an engineering manager. I lead teams across the US and the UK, right? I recently wrote a document for in my office around how we can solve a problem with ownership, because we have different microservices all over the place, but we still have, you know, monoliths all over the place as well. And as someone sitting in senior leadership and in a lot of meetings with senior management, how do we make sure that teams own things, right? And I came up with something, and in the process of coming up with it, I wanted to add statistics because I was making a case for a product that we should buy within the company. And obviously, when you are going to leadership and telling them to spend money on a tool, you need to be able to back up why that tool is important. And years ago, I would go to Statistica and keep flipping through different statistics, keep checking different companies like Gartner as well. Gartner is another company that does a lot of research. So they have, you know, data and insights for certain things. I will go to these platforms and it will take me about 3 hours to find the right statistics that I need. But nowadays, I will go to Claude or ChatGPT and say, I need research about XYZ. Find me valid research that can prove that this, and this is the case, and insert the links. I want to view them. And then obviously they will do their thing and give me the responses because they will crawl the internet. I will now, as opposed to going to do a Google search that might take a longer time because I have to do multiple Google searches and keep checking random pages, AI has narrowed down the pages to check for me. And most likely, before I click if I asked AI for 20 examples, before I click the first 10, I found the answer that I'm looking for. And then I'm able to now take that research, embed it into my documentation, and keep writing my docs. Right. So this is something that AI is very powerful at for you. And then you can also, you could do some research, you could do market analysis, you could do academic research as well. I know people that use an academic tool. I mean, I'm not doing a PhD yet, but I know people that are using that are doing PhDs, and they use this tool called Anara. Anara is basically ChatGPT but for writing papers. What Anara helps you do is that you upload your different papers onto the platform and tell it that, oh, I need you to help me find the gap in this literature. I need you to help me um pull out information that is useful for this kind of research from this literature. Some people even go as far as using an hour to write their papers and then being the human eye once those papers are written, right? And this is something that people are using in their different spheres that is helping them be a lot more productive than they've ever been, right? I would have done a quick demo, but I mean, here, everybody has used ChatGPT before, so nothing I'm going to be showing here is magical. So I guess we could just skip that because of time. Um, Next thing is task automation, right? You can use AI to generate code for you. Many people do it within Copilots. You are able to you are able to generate like code for reading a file of job applications and extracting company names and stuff like that. You're able to, I pair program a lot with AI, right? AI is helping me be a better programmer because code will be written and I would type and I would be like, okay, this first few lines that I wrote, I want you to tell me if there's a better and optimal way for doing it. I use AI to prepare for systems design interviews. I would give AI a problem. If I want to design a tool like Ticketmaster, how would I make sure that the tickets expire 15 minutes if I've saved the ticket but I've not paid for it? Do you think an event driven architecture makes sense for this flow? Or do you think using the databases, maybe like a cache or a regular database, and putting a time to live there so that in 15 minutes the data is deleted from the database if I have not paid for it? Do you think that works best ultimately? Right? Like you would see some back and forth in me communicating with AI, trying to solve a problem and things like that. And that's one thing that AI has really really helped me do as well, right? Working on code and also um a- discussing about systems design, right? Because sometimes I used to do it a lot on Twitter back in the day. I would, ask like a technical question on the TL and people will be answering it together, we'll be debating on the tweets. But Twitter has become crazy over the last couple of years. And so those kinds of conversations don't happen online as well. But I need a channel to still have these conversations. So now I have them with AI, right? Because the main goal at the end of the day is to bounce off my technical ideas off a tool, and I want that tool or that community or those people, whoever, to consistently poke holes in that idea until it becomes foolproof. And AI does that for me. So now let's go back into this one. AI is very good at generating code for different things, right? I can say, okay, break down this project into weekly tasks for someone that has basic HTML and CSS knowledge and is learning React. Include learning resources and milestones in the process. Create five different email templates for networking with tech professionals on LinkedIn. Vary the tone and approach for different scenarios, informational interviews, job referrals, mentorship requests, etc. Right? Um, the next thing is creative problem solving. AI really helps with brainstorming sessions. It helps with design thinking and innovation challenges. I will share this um deck with Yannick so that the rest of the team can have it if they want. And the fifth one is time management, right? You could use AI to plan your day. You could use AI to help you create like, weekly schedules, um, and work on optimizing your week. And then also track your goals. If you have a long-term goal, tell AI to break it down into monthly milestones, measurable actions, and things like that. And then every you can now have those monthly milestones. Maybe if you're like me that has a lot of keys in front of like your office table and things like that, you could put those milestones there and consistently reevaluate over time. Now let's talk about your 30-day transformation plan, right? If you want to sort of get into using AI fundamentally, right? You want to start building a foundation first. You want to set up your accounts, you want to start doing basic prompting, and over time you actually get better at prompting AI as you grow and as you learn. I think ChatGPT became mainstream in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, 2022 or 2023. And the way people are now prompting ChatGPT today is not the way they were prompting ChatGPT when ChatGPT started. So even as the models are evolving on one end, because I believe that we are all prompt engineers now, whether we like it or not. All of us as prompt engineers are now also evolving in the prompts that we give AI on one side. But if you're starting out, there's a very high chance that that wouldn't be the case, right? You're just focusing on the small things. And if that's the case, then your success by the end of the first week can be determined by, okay, can I now write effective prompts for basic tasks? Am I better at doing that? Do I have clear goals for how I want to implement AI? And do I understand where AI is like, short and where AI is doing well? In the next week, you can now start thinking about using AI for explaining complex concepts, using AI to automate some repetitive tasks, maybe because you've built an MCP server and you've integrated it to your calendar or other forms of tooling, and you are now using AI for that specific reason, right? You are now thinking about how you can start giving AI advanced prompts because you want to test AI doing maybe a bit more edgy or crazy things for you, and starting to build your prompt library because I said reusable prompts are very important in coding as well as in other areas. You want to have you can have those prompts um however you want to have them, but there are some things that consistently you will be asking AI, whether it is context you would need to give AI, or maybe frequent questions that you ask or frequent ways you phrase certain things. It's important to keep those things somewhere so that whenever you need them, it's a copy and paste type of scenario, right? Um, if you've not maybe set up your MCP server in the third week, like I said, this is something you can go to the Anthropic website and sort out yourself. You can do that. You can start creating content using AI. You can start asking AI, for, oh, create a pros and cons list for me for XYZ. I want to make a decision. And then you can refine and improve whatever it is that you are doing with AI. And then over time, you start to build things with AI. You have a long-term planning AI strategy. Even at some point, you might be sharing with people what you are doing with AI and how you are doing it. You might be thinking about building something with AI to augment whatever mainstream products AI has, because there are certain personal use cases that you might have that LLMs, like, the popular ones, might not be solving for you, but you might decide, ah, there is, what's this tool called? This vibe coding tool. I don't remember the name. I don't use any of them, but it's a very popular one, right?
Cursor?
So what? Yeah, cursor.
Cursor? Okay.
So somebody can say, okay, you know what? I can decide that I want to use cursor and um maybe I think Google has like an AI tool for creating UX designs. I want to build a product by leveraging different AI tools, and this product is supposed to help me solve a daily problem. Today you've built a product for yourself, a product you use all the time that's helping you, and you've built it with AI. Tomorrow you can actually decide that you want to build a SaaS product and sell it. And that's what I think that AI is going to birth. AI is going to birth a lot of individual entrepreneurs that can now do things, especially people that have creative minds, right? That can now do things for themselves and by themselves. Some of those things will become fully fledged companies. Some of them might not, but they will just become like products that people are selling and making money off of. Imagine somebody being able to sell a product for $500,000 and they've sold it and they've moved on to building the next thing. That's nice money to have, right? And these are things that are consistently going to happen because leveraging AI takes a lot of cognitive load away to focus on other things, and you can now start fully coming into yourself, if that makes sense. Um, I also just want to quickly touch on the ethical use of AI before ending this. Microsoft has a whole ethical AI framework, but that is for builders and researchers. Because there are some things that it talks about fairness, correctness and things like that. These are things that sometimes are beyond us as users. But I'm going to just talk about something in the context of using AI. Transparency is very important, right? Be honest about using AI in your work, right? If you're writing a paper, if you're ever doing research and you're using AI to do your research, if you are in a school that if you cite AI in your research, you'll be penalized for it. I don't know. I think you should change that school because I honestly think that it would be unfair to anyone for anyone to pretend that this is not our current reality and prevent you from using tools that should be helping you and tools that are going to be very much part of your future just because they don't want you to use AI. If that's the case, why is everyone spending billions of dollars on that industry? Right. So I believe that you should not be um afraid to say you use AI in whatever thing you worked on, whether it is a research paper, whether it is maybe you are a copywriter and you wrote copy for a script or something, right? So you should always be transparent about AI assistance in your work. I don't think it's a problem. It's created to help you, and so you should use it, right? You should credit AI when appropriate, right? You want to make sure that you are not taking credits for AI's work. Like anything that AI did, you will say is you that did it when we both know that that's not the case. Right? You should always fact check important information as well because AI isn't always 100% right. And you don't want a situation where you create something and somehow it is wrong. And when it is wrong, nobody actually really cares about the fact that it was a ChatGPT prompt response. Everybody would attribute this to you and say that you have said rubbish or you are trying to mislead people or you've created something that isn't good enough or accurate. So you want to make sure that, and even ChatGPT says it, Claude says it. If you look at the bottom of the text bar, you see that ChatGPT can make mistakes, right? It's written there. And so you should verify information when you get them for your own benefit. If you are going to be using any AI tools as well, please protect your sensitive data. It is very important that you do that. There's no reason why you should be pasting your passwords in your ChatGPT window. There's no reason why you should be pasting sensitive information or trade secrets for your company or different kinds of specific things in AI because that data is not private data and that data is being used for different things. And also, as a bonus point, you should consider that AI could be biased in decision making, and that's also one of the reasons why I was advocating for not just using, but using and building over time. Right? The AI is as smart as the exposure that it has. The same way human beings too, the ones that are not exposed, when you have conversations with them, you can tell, right? I mean, in AI we call it bias because it's definitely affecting some people in the world, but the point is you should recognize that there could possibly be bias and um get involved into creating AI. creating for AI and creating with AI. Because if we're going to have a balanced world and a fully represented world when it comes to AI models and the data that AI has about us in our different spheres, we have to contribute to making it the case. We have to contribute to building data sets. We have to contribute to helping with a lot of all these things. I see companies like Hugging Face. I want to see more of that. I want to see some of them that are more African. I see companies like Pinecone. I want to see more of that. Scale AI. I want to see more of that. I want to see a bunch of all these companies that are African and that are collaborating with the big people, the ChatGPTs, the Claudes, the Nvidias, the Metas, and are building AI and we're giving them all these things. Um, a couple do's and don'ts. Use AI to learn and understand concepts better. Generate ideas as first drafts, then refine them consistently. Automate repetitive, non-creative tasks, and then check work for accuracy. Don't submit AI generated work without disclosure. Don't rely on AI for critical decisions without verifying things because it could mislead you. Don't share confidential information with your AI tools, and don't use AI to replace developing your own skills. I saw a research recently. I think it was done in MIT, and it just shows like the brain internally. People before they were using AI and people now that they are using AI, and something worrisome is happening because now everybody is outsourcing their thinking to ChatGPT, which should not be the case. You should have your independent thoughts. ChatGPT should help you. There are different things that ChatGPT has taught me about history in different parts of the world. Things that I know that maybe I would have had to read a full book for, or go and watch a couple historic materials and watch some documentaries that I don't have time for. But I'll ask ChatGPT, oh, what's going on in this country? What's going on between these two countries? What happened in 1976? What does this represent? And I'm learning as I'm doing that. Sometimes I can even tell ChatGPT, tell it to me as a story, and I play it in the audio, and I'm hearing it as a story, and I'm picking things up, right? So AI should augment your life and contributes to your learning. It shouldn't make you mentally lazy. It's very important. And one thing I also want to say is that this presentation was created by my assistant with AI. So I have an operations team because I do multiple things at the same time. And I told her that I was giving an AI presentation and I would want her to use AI to create the presentation so that it would be interesting. Obviously, she designed it with Canva and shared it with me. But most of the content that is part of this presentation is from AI, just so that you can see how much help that could have been to her if she had to create this from scratch. Because this is someone that is fully operational, ops background, doesn't really know much about technology, should have had to do a lot of reading, which wasn't really the case because she pointed me to the bullet points, and all I've done in this presentation is walk through those bullet points and talk to you. So now, the final thing I want to say is that you should be security cautious. It's important to think about security. You should read the terms of service for AI tools. I know that many people don't like reading terms of service and things like that. We'll scroll down and say that we agree and we can move on. Sometimes you can take that thing and ask a different AI to summarize it for you or show things that jump out where they jump out so that you can even know if you want to move on with this product or not. Because you will be shocked. Because I know that some of those things are long, right? Let's be very honest. They've For a very long time I have not been reading them. But nowadays I will copy and paste it into a different product and ask in this term of service, what jumps out specifically? Should I not be using this product? Or how should I use this product? Should I not put certain things in there based on what they've talked about that they will not be liable for this or for this or for that? What should I know specifically about using this tool in the way I work as Adora? Right. And it's something that you can do as well if you're very lazy to read it, right? Um, you should also use business accounts if they are available because they come with more features, right? So you're able to do a lot more. You're able to sync your Google Drive, like I said, in some cases, and that just helps you. Imagine if you're supposed to be writing a paper for something, a document for something on your team, and there have been similar documents that have been written, right? That context, AI can pull out that context for you and help you write that document faster. Don't ever share sensitive or um like any sensitive personal or company data, whether it's trade secrets, whether it's passwords. Don't ever do that. Review conversation history and use local AI tools if there's ever any sensitive work. Thank you so much for listening and for being here today. I will share this presentation with Yannick, and um if you need it after, I will get it to you.
Hey, thank you so much, Adora. This was really a really good foundational and actually, well-rounded presentation around AI. Um, I like the stuff you calling out security and privacy, and in a way that sometimes I know myself, sometimes it's easy to just accept those terms and conditions. And I think next time I try to use a tool, I'll definitely think about that. And I also maybe beyond even just AI tools, right? We do get terms and conditions for many things throughout the throughout our day. Like, whether it's at home, we're about to sign up for products, digital product, we get terms and conditions. So I'm thinking about now expanding next time I get those to see if I can check out those details.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying yes, you definitely should because sometimes you don't know what's buried under there.
Yeah. So again, we'll open a little bit more for conversation with the rest of the minute that we have. Please, if you have questions, for Adora here, this is a great time. I want to be able to get enough time here for folks to ask the question directly to Adora. Um, Adora, I like that you did not go very technical because I know that you can be extremely technical, and I know this because I attended one of your class, if you remember. So I was a student of Adora. She has a course on, is it on O'Reilly?
Yes, O'Reilly.
She has a course on O'Reilly on DevOps, and it's a very popular course. I can tell you that a lot of engineering managers and engineers that connect to that course. And I randomly, a year ago, I randomly connected to it, and I didn't even know who was teaching the course. And I happened to sit there. It was very cloud focused. So you were teaching how to build pipeline in Azure, and I think something like that. How to write code for pipelines and all. That was very impressive. So kudos to you, Adora. It's like it's very inspiring to see just how wide, how the breadth of knowledge that you have, and how you're always open to share that with people.
Thank you. I just sent you an email and I attached the like the deck in PDF so you can check it out.
Thank you. Any questions for Dora? I'm sure there will be people, and you can ask also technical question. She will give you the answer to any question that you might have around this topic. Questions? It's pretty quiet today. No questions? So, Adora, maybe I'll ask a question here. Looks like we have a question. I was gonna ask something, but we have. How do you suggest checking if an AI answer is reliable? That's the question we have.
Can you repeat that question?
How do you suggest checking if an AI answer is reliable?
How do you check? There are a couple things that I can do. Sometimes I'll ask for references Where did you pull that in, where did you pull that answer from? Send me a link. If the AI is hallucinating, there's a very high chance that the link it will share is a link that does not exist. And I can obviously immediately tell that this thing has said rubbish to me. Sometimes I would actually copy that message to Google to see what the answer, like, to see if anything comes out. Or sometimes I would actually copy it to a different AI or a different LLM to check and verify if that's the case. Or sometimes I would ask the same LLM, I would ask like four different LLMs the same question and see if there's patterns in the answers that I receive and see if it's the same thing that I get back. And obviously, if four of them are giving me different things, there's a very high chance that I'm finished. If three are giving me something and one is giving me a different thing, it doesn't mean the three are correct. Sometimes the one might be correct. And so if there is a difference in the answers, if four of them are giving me the answer, I typically assume that it's right, and then I let it go. But if maybe there are three answers in one direction and there's one answer in a different direction, obviously of probabilities, the one answer might be the wrong one, the three might be the right one. But what is the difference? And I'll dig into it further and figure out exactly what the disconnection is. For any related things, for direct questions, I ask for links, or sometimes I take that thing and I post it in another AI or on Google to verify its correctness. But for things around things that are a bit more mathematical, right? Things that have direct answers. There are no two answers. There's only one correct answer in this life. If I ask it to multiple LLMs and I'm getting different answers, I know that I'm screwed and I try to figure it out to find the correct answer. If I'm asking it to different LLMs and all the answers are the same, I know it's correct. If some are saying one thing and some are saying something else, so there's like, you know, 2-2 or 3-1, I will now dig into which might be the correct answer a bit further by actually maybe even trying to do it myself or something like that. So those are like different um strategies that I typically use, right? I basically interact with AI like a real entity. And obviously, sometimes I'll ask a human being something and they'll tell me something and I don't believe them. So I'll go and ask somebody else. And so, in that same way, I ask different LLMs the same question. And based on what they tell me, I know whether what they're saying makes sense or not.
Yeah,
Um, Someone is saying, can you explain in general terms how AI works, where it gets its information, and how, what do you mean by how young?
I think
I,
maybe recent, how relevant, like are they, is it based on data from last year, from this year, and
okay. It's based on data from whenever, right? So how does AI work? There are a couple things, and I'm going to talk about basic AI. I wouldn't just talk about um generative AI as we know it now, right? But basic AI thrives on search, right? AI search algorithms are really big. So a lot of things are built on search and probabilistic models as well, right? Those were like the beginning of AI and where a lot of things started from and things like that. And AI also learns from data. So how does AI work and where does it get its information? It learns from the data that you give it. It gets its information from that data. The data is, the AI models that you've used to train the AI. For example, I don't know how many people here know the cat versus muffin problem. When I answer this question, I will go on Google and find cat versus muffin and I will post it in the chat so you can see, right? If I give my AI a couple of pictures, maybe 1,000 pictures, and label the images as this is a cat, right? When the AI sees a lizard, it will be able to learn and say, no, this is not a lizard, this is a cat. It will be able to learn and say, Abby, this is not a yeah, this is not a lizard, this is a cat. Or this is not a cat. I know what cats look like. They have whiskers, they have these kinds of eyes. Lizards don't have that. But if I give the AI a muffin, right, that AI could get confused. And that is what causes hallucinations. But most of the times, you will get the right answer, right? If I ask the AI, is this a cat? To say yes. If I ask the AI, is this a dog? It will say, no, it's the cat, right? Um, so once you've trained that AI, it can now make predictions or it can make decisions. Like I said, search models and probabilistic models, right? And now in our world today, we've gone and machine learning is a very big part of AI, which is like, um machines basically learning things over time and then getting better. We have deep learning now, and LLMs sit under deep learning. One very advanced form of AI today in deep learning is called neural networks. And neural networks are sort of like um, modeled after the brain. Obviously, nobody can model the brain 100%, right? Um, but neural nets are modeled after the brain. So there is, you know, the there's the outer layer, there's the inner layer, and there's the beginning and the end of the neural net. So the input layer, the output layer, and then there's like, middle layers, and there's a lot of computation happening there. There's a lot of math, a lot of probabilities. There is okay, if these two networks are connected to each other, one says it's correct, the other one says it's not correct. What's the probability? The next layer should say, okay, it is correct. And then over time, they sort of like work like the brain, right? Maybe I can get a picture of a neural net as well when I go on Twitter. I said Twitter. When I go on the internet to share the cat versus muffin, I would also share neural nets. So you can see how the computation progresses. So these networks help with like complex patterns. So different things around like text, images, speech, and things. Different cloud providers as well, like Azure, AWS, they also have their own AI systems. I know that Azure has Azure OpenAI. And so um you can also build your AI tooling on top of these cloud providers. You can create your own AI. Um, you can train and deploy these AI models, right? And have them there. So to answer your question around how AI gets information, AI gets information from different publicly available sources on the internet. So it could be Twitter, like I said before, Reddit, Wikipedia, all of that stuff. Or some companies actually have like some, let me just, unfortunately, but this is the truth. Some companies actually have um, partnerships with a bunch of all these with a bunch of all these AI companies, and they are selling your data to them, and that's what they're actually using to train. That's what they're using to train these AI models, right? That's what's currently happening right now. Um, as well as the publicly available data, right? So AI is getting all this information from these places. The data is cleaned, the data is synthesized. I obviously don't know the process of the cleaning and the synthesizing because I'm not a data scientist. I don't know how that works. But the data is cleaned, synthesized, and is used to train the AI. Now, there's also something called RAG. And RAG was created, and this is something that Pinecone, let me type Pinecone in the chat in case anybody here wants to Google Pinecone after the fact. But this is something that a tool like Pinecone helps you solve very well, right? RAG was created because there's just unfortunately sometimes that AI will answer, like will be asked a question on context that it has not been trained on. So instead of saying I don't know and instead of hallucinating, RAG allows AI models to literally go into the internet and get real-time information. So if you notice, there's sometimes that you ask ChatGPT questions and you will see references from Reddit, you will see references from Wikipedia, you will see references from maybe Forbes or some other
top websites and blogs and things like that. Because it doesn't have, and there's sometimes that you ask ChatGPT a question and to just give you answer. No reference whatsoever. It's not checking any source on the internet. It's just giving you the answer because it knows the answer. When AI is going to the internet to fetch data before synthesizing that data and then giving you a response, it has used RAG to do that, right? So that's how it gets data in real time. So how young is that information? Or how old is that information? You could actually get information from AI as early as today, right? Or rather, or as late as today, or as late as 10 minutes ago. If something happened and is a big thing on the news right now, and this is already on the internet, meaning that it has indexed and it has gotten to the internet, if you ask AI about it, AI can tell you. So, and obviously, RAG is what has made that happen because normally it might have taken some time for people to take all of that data on the internet, clean it, retrain a new AI model, and then push it onto the LLM, right? But now, because AI can now, instead of using that push model, so RAG just enables a pull model for data. Instead of, having that push model for data where I push the data onto the LLM. Now the LLM is just pulling data from different real-time sources. So it's a pull versus push model, if that makes sense. And I hope that um answers your question.
Question there.
Um
Yeah, and we have another. I think there's another one there. I don't know if you can see it. Um,
yeah, so someone is asking, there's a lot of talk around the importance of AI, but what are the risks of misuse on productivity? There's a lot of talk around the benefits, but in another sense, using AI contributing to the reduction of human creativity. Huh. I agree with you 100%. And I think I said that there was an MIT study, right? There was research done in MIT recently that they actually scanned people's brains and realized that people were getting dumber. You see? they, they realized that people were getting dumber because they were using AI. So it's a real thing. It's a real thing. But I think I will say this, right? If you are over dependent on AI or if you misuse it, that is when the problem comes. Because the truth is, if everything is risky, social media is risky, there's cyberbullying, there's social engineering. The more you stay on social media, the easier it is for someone to literally learn your patterns, your daily patterns, and kidnap you. Learn your daily patterns and hack into your accounts and dupe people because they begged them for money and they sent them maybe a Stripe link to pay or something, and somehow they've been scammed of $40,000 or something. Do you understand? So every single thing, the same way they will tell you that, oh, chicken is sweet, food is good, but if you eat too much of fried chicken, it's bad for your heart. So like every single thing has risks. Every single thing that is good when done beyond the level that it should be done in has risks. Using AI as well. So if you use AI the wrong way, maybe you're using it to blindly automate tasks and you don't understand the context, it can slow things down for you, which is not supposed to be the case because I guess AI is supposed to improve your productivity. But if you don't understand what you're trying to do and then you ask AI to do it for you, you notice that you spend a lot more time trying to refine what the AI has done as opposed to actually trying to get the thing done, right? And that's bad for you in the first place. So if you tell AI write code for me and you're not a good programmer, if you submitted that code to somebody else and they start asking you questions about the code and you can't answer that question, right? Or they say, okay, you've written this code now, do something further, and you're not able to follow up beyond the code, that's a problem, right?
yeah,
If you are an engineer or a writer or a copywriter and you're beginning to rely too heavily on AI for like things around maybe writing, designing, and creativity, it could affect you because you could lose touch with, the deep thinking and the iteration that comes with creating original work. So you can just say, okay, you know what? And let me just, whatever AI gives me, let me just use it.
yeah.
Right. And obviously flattens human creativity as well, because there's the opportunity to make people become very lazy. If people can use AI to generate videos, images, different things, why would people want to try? Right? If somebody can literally use AI to write a blog post, why would somebody want to be original and actually write something original in the first place? Right? And and I think in a way that's what makes people bash AI on the internet. There's sometimes that people will say, "Ah, you use AI. I can see why you using AI here." I mean, of course, we should all use AI. If they're spending billions investing in AI, why shouldn't we use it? But it's because many people are not using AI well, so people are beginning to see AI use as something to be frowned upon. I don't think that's the case. At the end of the day, everybody should just live for an audience of one and do the one that is important to them. But make sure that whatever content you create, whatever thing that you do, it is adding value, it is communicating value, right? For you and for the people that you are creating it for. And make sure that in the process of creating with AI, you are not, you know, getting, you're not losing your authenticity, if that makes sense. Losing what makes your voice, right? I'll add that. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and then we have a couple more questions here, Adora. One is for a young Cameroonian who wants to get started in AI, where should they start? Are there any kind of prerequisites, I don't know, course or that they need to get started with, or I don't know,
Yeah,
anything?
I think to do AI very well, you need to know math, right? Obviously, you don't need to go and get a whole PhD. If you want to get a PhD, that's fine, because obviously that would help you get good jobs in companies like Google DeepMind or Claude or um ChatGPT that might be good for your career. But I mean, and that has absolutely nothing to do with your country or any stage. Don't put any limit on yourself, right? As a young Cameroonian, there are many young Cameroonians as well getting PhDs. So if you decide that you want to go and do that, please by all means go ahead. I plan to do one at some point as a young Nigerian. Right. I plan to do one at some point. Just that there are a bunch of things in my life. This is not the right stage, right? Because I am, in the stage of so many things that I want to round up, complete, drop before I now think of the next phase of my life. But in 3 years, I might be thinking about applying to schools for PhDs, and then doing AI research and then continuing my life and my career from there. But a couple of things I would say that is important is you need to be able to ask the right questions, because AI research is about pushing boundaries. A lot of things currently happening in the world today as a result of AI innovation, where things are, for once, were not thought possible, right? People have literally sat down and modeled neural networks over the human brain. For that to be able to happen, interesting questions were asked. People challenged the status quo. People said, okay, why is this thing like this? If this is the case, can we not try something else? Can we use math to achieve this? And that's my next question, math basics. Probability is something you need to understand. Probability. And don't worry, there are very beginner friendly courses for things like linear algebra, probability, and statistics, right? But these are things that you need to know. If you're going to get started in AI from a professional perspective, right, you need to know these things. And if you're going to get started in AI as well, Python is a good programming language to know. I think it's the most common AI programming language. Machine learning engineers use it, data scientists use it. And so um, it's also important to do that. There are also many courses, LinkedIn Learning, Coursera, Google AI Education, Microsoft Learn, different places where you can go and learn about AI and machine learning for free, right? It will introduce you to what. So I am doing the same thing, and that's why I'm doing my master's, right? My like I said, I'm a graduate student doing a master's in computer science, waiting to start my MBA. The master's in computer science is majoring in AI, right? And so I am learning all these things within the walls of a classroom. There's a very popular Udacity Introduction to AI course. I think it was even that course that made Udacity popular, right? So you can go and check out that course, but obviously that course is not free. However, there are free courses, like I said, with Coursera, Google AI Education, Microsoft Learn, and other places. You can literally go on ChatGPT and type, where can I take a free course on AI? And it will show you, right? You can also, this question you've asked me, you can also put it in ChatGPT as well and ask it to create a roadmap for you, going from beginner with no experience to experts with AI level experience. Let it set monthly milestones for you, daily things you need to achieve. Similarly to what I showed you about prompts, right? So you can even ask this question to ChatGPT, and I would say, start to practice with real code and real data, right? Get your Azure AI account, get your Pinecone account, get your Hugging Face account, try and create an MCP server by yourself, all these kinds of things. I know there used to be something called AI Saturdays. I don't know if it's for African AI devs. I don't know if it exists anymore, but find an AI community and just join it. Um, and if you don't see an AI community, join a data community. I know there's Data First Africa, right? Let me type it in the chat. I know there's Data First Africa. Starts from there as well, right? And then start to build real problems, right? Like start to build, or rather start to solve real problems. Like think about problems that people are facing or problems that you are facing. Use AI to solve that problem. And then as you do that consistently, it's something that you might be able to sell. The solution is something you might be able to sell. But one valuable thing you get out of that solution is experience. And if you consistently do it, you are already a fantastic AI person. So that'll be my answer to you. And I hope that you find that very useful.
And Adora, thanks again for that. Another one is probably going to hit a lot more home with your profession, the DevOps class. Someone asked the question, how should DevOps cloud engineer integrate AI to stay relevant? And I know this is a DevOps person asking this.
Okay. Please give me 1 second. I'm trying to find. Sorry, it wasn't cat versus muffin. It was actually muffin versus chihuahua. I'm trying to find the image, so that I can share. So please give me 1 second. I'm currently on Google right now. I'll be
No
back to the
problem.
chat
No
if
problem.
you. I
And
don't.
for while Adora is looking
I'm
for
not
that,
able to send. I'm not able to send images.
oh, okay. And you can always send me, maybe if there's a URL link, you can always put that in there.
Okay,
We're gonna,
I can
yeah.
put the link.
I know we have many questions. We're gonna try to close here in roughly, I don't know, 10 minutes. So,
So yeah, you people, I've put the link in the chat so you can actually see what I mean.
okay,
Um,
perfect. Yeah.
yeah, in the cat versus sorry, I don't know. I keep saying cat, Chihuahua versus cupcake, right? And this is why training AI models are very important. So yeah, someone said I teach a DevOps class. How should DevOps or cloud engineers integrate AI tools to stay relevant? I mean, the first one is AI ops. Thankfully, tools like Datadog, they've done it for us, right? Datadog, Azure, AWS, they've integrated AI ops for us when it comes to, analyzing like observability analysis, basically analyzing our logs, our metrics, and different events across our infra, and helping us, understand alerts that come, what we should be doing proactively, figuring out things, root cause analysis, different kinds of things. So these things are helping with that already. I know this platform as well. What's the name? Is it Relic, or there's a tool, I think it's called Relic, that they have like an AI thing as well, AI ops related. That's another place to start from. I also think that as a platform engineering team, right? Platform engineers are enabling teams across, you know, companies for the remaining product engineers. And one thing that platform engineers can do is to actually build out solutions, MCP solutions for people, right? So that common questions that are being asked, they can ask the AI, right? Or they can ask the tool that the platform engineering team has created. And that team can provide, like, that AI tool can provide the answer based on context, right? So there are different Slack messages across your company, different Google Docs that are being created. If you people have, if you people are a company that use them, Stack Overflow Enterprise as well, Stack Overflow for Teams, you have that, right? Like the point is there are different data channels across the company. So imagine having a place where you could aggregate all of them, right? A UI connected to an MCP server that can pull all this information, right? So when a new person comes and they are confused, especially in a company that is remote all over the place, when a new person comes, into the company and they are confused, they can just ask, right? They can
Yeah.
just ask and they get that information. So that's one thing as well. What else? What else? What else? DevOps and cloud engineering teams can inspire the rest of product engineers to start using AI assisted development as well. So I talked about reusable prompts with copilots earlier. These are things that, DevOps teams can use. And these are things that um, DevOps teams can bring to the rest of the engineering teams to start using as well, right? If you have a monolith that you are trying to, pull out that monolith into different services, right? Because you want to move to a fully services oriented world, right? Or you have certain testing practices, you want people to be able to write tests a certain way. You can write some prompts that allow people to generate tests from code and share it with the rest of your engineering team and say, okay, be using these prompts. And then we've put these guardrails. So if your test coverage is not up to 98%, you cannot pass. Maybe 98% is too far. Maybe 92%, you can't check in your code. And if you can't check in your code, try these prompts, generate tests that are reasonable to add to your code, and then blah blah blah. So that there's also like that. There are a couple things you can also do. DevOps teams can set up auto approval for certain kinds of coding tasks, not everything. Maybe, for example, if you wanted to do something like a version bump, and that version bump is important for a team to work on a feature, they need to open a PR to increase a version. And then once that PR goes, they can now work on what they wanted to work on. Instead of maybe imagine if it was a remote company, right? And people were across different time zones. Instead of the person in America waiting for the next day, well, like waiting till the next day for the person in Europe to come and help them approve that PR so that they can continue with their work. AI auto approval has come to help, right? So um I would say these are things that I can sort of like think that can be useful for DevOps people using AI. I hope that that answered your question.
Right. And I think we have a last question here. When implementing an AI solution for a business problem, what criteria should determine whether to use a pre-trained model versus a custom model?
It depends, right? So it's a series of questions you'd ask yourself. Sorry, give me 1 second. I want to. It's a series of questions that you'd ask yourself, right? Um, is this a common like business problem, right? If it's a common business problem, then you can use a pre-trained model, right? Because if it's a common problem and it's well understood by existing models, using a pre-trained model, it makes you faster. It gets you to your solution done. Like it gets you to your solution quicker because maybe the task is general, it's widely solved. Um, maybe you have limited data on it as well for whatever reason. You want to move fast, you don't have strength, right? Then in that context, it makes sense to use a pre-trained model, right? However, if maybe it is very domain specific, like it's a problem that is particular to Africa or to African babies or to African women, how much of that information exists? You might need to get data from the people in your community. If it is a problem specific to your university, to your school, that information does not readily exist on the internet as much. So you need unique data. So you need to gather that unique data. And when you need to gather unique data, right, then you can say, okay, let's create a custom model for it, because existing models will not perform well on a system like that. Sometimes you might just need full control. You need full control over the architecture. You want to build local AI, or maybe there are privacy and compliance things that you're working on. Maybe it is fintech related, for example, right? So you can also now think about using a custom model. So like those are just the reasons when I would say those are the reasons why I would say pre-trained versus custom. Pre-trained helps you move faster if the domain is already widely understood, sure. But if it's something that you would need specific or unique kind of data for, and you want your own control, then you can choose a custom model.
Okay. Well, I think this was a really good session. Thanks again, Adora, for joining us today for this discussion. We learned a lot. You were able to answer, you know, all our questions, and in a way that was very inspiring. Um, and I think that we took a lot from this, right? So thank you so much. Thanks for sharing your knowledge with us this morning, this afternoon, and you know, depending on where you're joining us. Until the next time, continue to connect with Adapt. This is what we do. We like to share. We like to educate. I want to give a kudo to the Adapt Digital Lab in Yaoundé, where you guys can see them on the screen there. And yeah, and we're looking forward to more collaboration with Nexus Scale from Adora, because I think that we'll have definitely things that we can continue to do together.
Thank you so much for inviting me as well. I really appreciate it. This was fun. I hope you've taken something new from this, and hopefully we get to collaborate again in the future. Everyone here, have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.